the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, of course, a trainer. He's also a broadcaster. as a runs in that circle, when it comes to broadcasting now, you will be supposed to get somewhere in the middle and say he's doing the job on the side, right? Like kind of on the side.
Oh, well, it's communication.
I get it. But, Mr. Fasuke used to run the particular show for the institute. So the job you were doing is that of a broadcaster. It's communication anyway. Thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Tominsin. Kenny, nice to see you.
Pleasure.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Maybe I should ask you, Mr. Fasuke, how much cash do you have? Like, how much cash do you really have?
I'm happy you're asking that question. Those who are accountants, bookkeepers, financial analysts will tell you there is a difference between cash in hand and cash at bank. So you're asking me how much cash in hand do I have? I'm afraid to tell you that I don't have cash in hand at all. I have cash at bank.
You have cash at hand?
So
is there cash at hand?
No.
Cash at bank?
No, there's cash in bank.
No. It came from the accounting.
There is cash in hand, there is
Cash in bank.
When you say cash in hand, that's the cash you can make use of.
Buy snacks easily.
The one you
pay conductor when you board the bus, and
the one you give to your daughter.
Buy
your
granules.
son,
I've been talking about
buy
this granules since yesterday.
Whereas
buy
cash
your
at bank is your money that has been deposited in bank,
Yeah.
has been made to deposit all what we have,
which you no longer have access to collect.
and you may not have access to that. And if you don't have cash in hand, what you call, in a way of speaking, working capital that makes you wake up, sleep on a regular and daily basis, you are as good as dead. And the cash in bank hopefully will be in your will, testament, if you have one. That is if it is not stolen or pilfered by very unscrupulous persons. Nigerians do not have cash in hand as we speak.
Mr. Fasuke, I'm just wondering, when you mean unscrupulous people, it looks as if I'm just a really wicked person who likes to pick on a particular profession. But I'm sorry. Each time I go to the bank and I hear the fact that mints are not available, new mints, generally now, before the Naira redesign, and then big man somebody, in quotes, comes into the banking premises and the bankers are, especially the ladies, are falling over each other to be at his service. And then the next thing, you see that means that was not available, it begins to suddenly appear. And then they give as much as bundles upon bundles to that person. You came to bank for the same purpose, but you're not big enough somebody. So the big man somebody gets it before you do. And then if you're willing to part with some tips here and there in terms of how big the Naira is now, then they will get it for you. Now the new Naira redesign, apparently the same process, seemingly, was adopted. And now bankers are jumping fences and jumping windows to escape the EFCC. Are you surprised?
Well,
No, not really to escape the FCC. They closed for the day, and because of the crowd at the entrance, yes, of the bank, they cannot go out through the normal way.
So now,
Yes.
but the ones
So
that
it's just
EFCC
the
caught,
road. No, those were during
bank working hours.
But those particular ones jumping the fence, they actually wanted to go home, but there was no way they could. They could go.
yes,
Mr. Fasuke.
Tominsin, I will clearly tell you when you hear the wise saying that he who pays the piper
Dictates to
dictates
tune.
the tune. So if you are a big person in the hierarchy of things, customer service tend to want to go your side. But that is on one proviso, on the proviso that eventually it will trickle down to people who are not as big. But in a situation that we have found ourselves, where we have quote-unquote shortage of cash, misapplication of cash, and not well thought through, great policy not well thought through, what we are going to have is chaos. And what we have now is nothing but chaos. My accounting tells me of reconciliation. It tells me that if I have 100 naira, I can record how I spend that 100 naira. I can record from where I get that 100 naira. And if you have now reduced it to 50 naira, hey, something has to go. I have to now do some kind of ranking and prioritization. So from that 50 naira that you have given me, I've given Kenny 20 naira, I've given you 10 naira, I've given my gate man 10 naira.
I honestly need that 20 naira.
It should be well recorded. So if anybody just comes like a Robin Hood and says, I have stolen money or have not applied the money, I'll bring out my journal, as we call it, my
And say,
ledger. This is how I have taken it. And if I had lied against Kenny, for obvious reasons, I say I've given it to her, they can always go back and say, Kenny, you took 20 naira from me, and Kenny will either say, yes, I took 20 naira, or Kenny might forget, and then we can then try and prove what we have in here. A good policy that says we are going to recolor naira for ostensible reasons, including cashless, and we are not able, for the life of me, able to say how much we have printed. We speak about it in estimation. We don't know how much we have printed. Okay, we say we have distributed about 500 billion of it, and we have raked in some 3 trillion. There's obviously a kind of mismatch. Now, the 500 billion that has come in is akin to the 50 naira that I mentioned. I used to have 100 naira and 50 naira. I now have to make sure that I ration it such that the poorest of the poor are not necessarily he who pays the piper. He who pays the piper can dictate the tune. You can be dancing and you might be dancing to your grave, because at the end of the day, you might end up in the belly of the sharks, and the sharks are the ones outside. So implementation of the cashless policy is very faulty. I have said it more than countless occasions that it has now become very political. It's gone from cashless, and we'll put that in the background, that we wish to catch some thieves who want to do vote buying. And those who want to catch are the ones that have more or less benefited. And then the grass keeps on suffering. What then do we have? Chaos. Chaos. Riots may be on our side. And then the fifth column is who perhaps are not interested, let me quickly say that, in ensuring that we hold elections and wanting to come either through the window or through the back door are holding sway. My prayer is it's the rush of court actions that are going left, right, and center.
Everybody's suing everybody, suing the federal government.
The grass keeps on
suffering for us.
Suffering. In fact, there's no more grass. Now we now have deep hole. I pray that reason will prevail, and this is the time we actually need a very strong leader. This is where leadership has to come into it. This is where leadership will say, for instance, in the example that I gave, Kenny, I gave you 20 naira. I shouldn't have given you 20 naira. I'm sorry I gave you 20 naira. So in the next dispensation, you're not going to get an additional one. Please, can you return
10
I
naira
made-
from what I gave you.
And then, of course, she can take me to court. She can she can be very angry. But I'll have to be humble to say, no, sorry, I shouldn't
I
have
made a
given you.
mistake here.
I made a mistake in what I have done. It's
Mr.
only
Fatuke.
it's only good leadership that accepts that they've taken an action and accept that
Takes responsibility.
it is not working well. You can tweak it around. But situation where you've taken an action, I have actually lied to tell you that it is only 50 naira I have, and you find me at parties elsewhere with the same money that I say,
It's not available.
and it's been, and some people are siphoning that and taking that off. I mean, it's
Mr. Fatuke,
a
I want
palongo
to,
dance that is not going to augur well for anybody.
you know, I want to bring you to a story Yinka Kenny shared yesterday on the show. Nigerians, of course, are talking about this, about the new Naira notes, their experience at the various ATMs of various banks. Somebody actually, in the Vox Pop that was done by MITV correspondent Fatuke Gule, came as far from Songo to Ikeja.
And at the end of the day, she got just
1,000
2,000
naira. And she's asking the question, why would I want to take 2,000? What am I going to use it for? Bottled water? I picked my mechanic this
I
morning.
don't think it's even enough for the transportation all the way to
Back
and
to
from.
Songo. Now, I picked my mechanic this morning at Acme Junction. He was coming to Alausa. And I'm asking him, why are you going to Alausa? He says he wants money. He needs cash. In the market where he operates, he needs 20,000 naira, which a client had paid for a car. He wants to collect the 20,000. They're telling him for every 5,000 naira, he would be charged 1,005. So what it means is he gets 3,005 in 4 places. He is going to lose 6,000 naira from this transaction. A client had paid for 20,000 for the entire job. So I brought him down here this morning. He's gone to the bank now, wanting to go queue in the bank for as long as it takes for him to get the money in question.
And I bet you will not get to 20,000 naira because
You get it.
The report is that people get maximum of 5,000 naira.
From the counter.
Yeah, not from the. From
No,
the
he's
machines.
going into the counter.
Oh.
He's going into the bank
Oh, good luck
to
to him.
queue in the bank
Good luck
for
to
as long as it takes to get money. This is one of many reports. I mean, we'll have a report from Abuja that will be taken up later. But brings me to the hardship that people are going through. Mr. Fatuke, how then can some political parties come together and say that, irrespective of whether Nigerians are suffering or not, they don't care? February 10 must remain February 10. Is it that we are not suffering enough, or we are not crying out enough?
You know, Tominsin, one of my favorite political theorists and actors is Harold Laswell. Harold Laswell defined politics as who gets what, who, where, and when. To you, to Kenny, to myself, and quite a number of people, you saw the action of those 14 parties as something you cannot rationalize. But to them, it's all about the politics of where we are going to, how we are going to get there.
Mr. Fatuke, but many of them don't even have presidential candidates.
At the end of the day, they may not have presidential candidates,
or even candidates at all.
but they have a reason why they are there. So if I don't have a presidential candidate and Kenny can do my bidding, or I can go behind Kenny and get some little things, and I will be promoting Kenny, even though Kenny will be the least
Qualified
fit
for the job.
for the job. They also have a point in saying, hey, Nigerians, you are not seeing what we are seeing. We know for a fact that if we don't take the position we are taking, then Nigeria is going to go down
The drain.
They say he that is down fears
Fears
no
no
fall.
fall.
You're already in the pit, and you want to continue to march in the pit, you will not really come out. You dig and sink deeply. Kenny and Tomisi, the whole lot of the jambalaya of things that is happening is clearly lack of focused leadership. A leadership that will decide that an armed robber or a thief has run into the market, and that the only way to retrieve that armed robber is to bomb the whole market. I don't care if other people die in market. Will you call that leadership? That is not compassion. Yes, at the end of the day, you are going to kill the thief. You may kill the thief. In fact, the thief might be smarter than you, as we are already getting now, and he will just find a way to escape, and then you end up killing so many innocents. Even if you killed the thief, and you killed 50, 60, 70, 100, will you say you have achieved the kind of objective that you have? That's on one side. On the other side, I've always compared the Nigerian conundrum as comedians and jesters. Comedian leaders, jester followers. It could be true that in reality, according to what President Muhammadu Buhari and his CBN governor decided that they were going to catch monkeys.
What did you say? Is CBN governor?
Yes, he's CBN governor. I am not sure is the governor of Nigeria. I say CBN governor from the perspective of, yes, we have this objective. We must go cashless, tick mark. We must make sure we remove, vote buying, another very tick mark. But in the process, we are not seeing the kind of results we are going to get, and we still insist that must continue. On the death of so many people that are in the village, so many people that are underbanked. Is it the CBN or Buhari's fault that they are underbanked? Maybe, somehow. And I always say there are creative ways of doing the same thing. Nigeria is not bereft of creating from nowhere. We don't have light, we don't have water, yet we survive. People
don't even have fuel.
Ask the question, how do you people how do you get to survive? We find a way
in the midst of all of it.
Creatively survive. Fella said he's suffering and smiling. No doubt about that. And one day, hopefully, we are going to get out of it. I think the jesters, I'm not talking of the citizens now, who deliberately, this happens all the time, want to cash in on on should I call it lacuna, the gap, the arbitrage, as we say, and just take a decision that you want to make the best and the most of profit.
And make life much more difficult for fellow citizens.
You don't give a damn. It's not only these 13 or 14 parties. Even the average person. Look at my
Mr. Fatoke, are you saying the person who is collecting 1,500 on every 3,000 on every 5,000 is not part of the group of people you're talking about?
He's part of the group of people, and you have created the arbitrage for that person. What you should do, what thinkers do, is to pluck from the base. Nigeria will start from the top and just believe that the solution is we sit in Abuja, we sit in governor's office, or we sit in our, in our assemblies, without really going down to the grass to see how these things affect people.
Pinches.
It should be the other way around. And I say there are creative ways. If people don't know how to do it, they can ask for
help.
You can ask for help.
Okay.
Inka, can you please go ahead?
My question and my worry in all of this is that, you made mention of it earlier when you started talking about reversing a policy that is not working. It's something I've never seen happen in this in this part of the world, just like you
Or
see,
even apologize for it.
yes, just like you see a leader feeling that, well, I've run out of ideas, and I just think I am no more competent, I'm no more fit for this position. I think it's high time I take a bow, So I begin to wonder when we will get to that level. You know, is it something about the African man? Is it something about the Nigerian man? You know, you feel you are at a position and you feel that, well, I'm at a crossroad. You know, something has got to be done. I feel, okay, Tomisin could have a better idea. Tomisin, please come around. How do we go about all of this? Why is it that this never happens in our, society, in this part of the world? You begin to wonder, why is it that somebody begins to take a monopoly of knowledge, a monopoly of decision, a monopoly
irrespective of how you and I feel about it?
No matter who's us is God.
And your suffering does not matter.
Kenny, the reason is because of low esteem. You don't have it, you suddenly have, and then you believe that you have it all. Like the tortoise who believes that he has the whole knowledge of the whole world, and then he puts everything in a gouge and was going to take it up there. And then somebody else said, he was not trying to climb the gouge, he put the gouge there, and he was strong there. Why don't you put the gouge? Behind this, I'll be able to come. Oh, so I don't have all the knowledge. So our leaders are nothing but the fact that nihilism, they don't know that they don't know, and that makes them a big F. Secondly, we are having rulers and not leaders. It is only when you are leading that you begin to see alternative views, or somebody who will just tell you, oh, father, mother, leader, you are dancing naked. The first thing you do is look at yourself.
Am I really dancing naked?
But when they say you are dancing naked, you say, who are you to say that kind of thing?
You don't check yourself out.
You are not even supposed to do that kind of thing. Now, you see, the aspect of it, Kenny, I like your slant to say, is it a Nigerian
thing,
an African, a black man thing? I know it's prevalent. We have a leader in Africa, over 90, he's been there for more than 40, 50 years. And he's supposed to go read a speech at an international forum. Try to read or whatever it is, he was just farting. And there are people who will always tell him it's the next best thing to Solomon, prodding him home, and then getting us back downwards. That is the reality of the moment. Finally, the reason why that is so, Kenny, is because in these parts of our hemisphere, we do not have a sense of shame. Kenny, you see, it is not when I tell you that you are vomiting rubbish. Yes, I'm supposed to say that because I can put a mirror to you to see. You are going to be the very first to know that certain things are just not right there. But sense of shame will tell you, no, continue. People will not be telling you, great.
No, but
good. You continue until you not get.
I will not agree with you on that, because I've seen situations where some people, you find that obviously they are doing the wrong thing, but to them it seems as if that's the best thing, in the whole world that they are doing. So at every point you still need somebody to point out to you, because for me, someone that's where I feel the problem is. Then in some cases, does it even mean that these people at the helm of affairs, do you begin to, because I wonder a lot of times, do you begin to assume they are too far from the people not to know or not to see what is, yes,
but you know,
I something to you.
Because I know that, sorry to cut you, some time ago, some statement was attributed, to our president, and you begin to wonder, is he in Nigeria?
Now, that gets back. I repeat, I am an African man. I am a Nigerian. I have sense of pride. I tell you, yes, maybe in some instances, I don't even know I'm dancing naked. I'm the first to know that I am not up to it.
Because you
That's
check
the
yourself
truth.
out on a daily basis.
That is the truth. I am first to know I am dancing naked, irrespective of what the court jesters are coming to tell me.
But Mr.
I
Fatigue,
listen to radio, I see people,
Mr.
I
Fatigue,
meet out to people what
that
I
is
am not
you.
meeting to myself.
Mr. Fatigue, but that is you. A typical example is in a corporate setting. I wonder, for example, we have bank owners. We have bank managing directors. They have a board of directors. They have a management team. Many of them will claim they're not aware of how bad the situation is on the floor of the bank.
Ignorance is no excuse.
So, Mr. Fatigue,
You
who
cannot
is
be a leader
lying?
and be
That's the
ignorant.
point. So, who is lying to them when they send their PA, for example, downstairs? Oh, don't worry, they've taken care of it. So, I'm looking at it in a corporate setting. We so much present a picture to our bosses, trying to hide the truth, cover up the truth, pretend as if the problem does not exist. Sometimes we do so in good faith, in a situation where you think, I can quickly arrest this thing and solve it myself. But more often than not, we do it because people do it because they want to hide the truth from the man and give him the semblance of we are working. Everything is fine.
Tobisin, I'm sorry.
Ignorance is
The
not an
buck
excuse.
stops on the leader's table.
I agree with you.
Excuse me. Let me make a point here. I also know, like Kenny is trying to put across, beyond it all, your face, your eyes have been covered, you have been deceived and stuff like that. You suffer for it.
Yeah.
You suffer for it. Because that buck stops on your table. It is your responsibility to have those aids. Like a motor car that breaks down somehow. It will be giving you some signs. How much of these signs have you looked at and then say, hey, wait a minute, you are not the best fit. You employed them, you put them in there, they deceived you once, they deceived you for the second time.
And you were told they deceived you.
In the top, and it's been going on, which means you yourself, you are a deceiver. Pure and simple.
And that's why it is
So
acceptable to you.
you cannot delegators delegare. You can't delegate and then your responsibility you also delegate and then you'll be looking for excuses and be looking for excuses. Then you are not prepared to lead. And the only thing you can do there is you yourself as a leader. Even before you talk about people who are deceiving you, step aside. You are not fit for purpose.
All right, so it brings me to a report that our correspondent did in the city of Abuja yesterday. Many filling stations are empty. People sometimes queuing outside them, even though there is no fuel being sold. People just park. So many filling stations. Yet, a lot of people are also even looking for common 2,000, 5,000, 1,000 naira to pay for their transport. This is the report from Abuja from yesterday's news.
The challenges we are having here, they have to change currency, our currency, and they say we should deposit our old Naira notes. And when you go to the bank, you deposit the old Naira notes, and you cannot get the new Naira notes. And with your own money, it's not good like that. No, they should continue with the new Naira notes, but they should make sure that the money is everywhere. Because if you have to say about transfer, you want to do transfer, there is no network, and you need the new Naira notes, there is no new Naira notes. So people are hungry, and with your money, you cannot access to your money.
Actually a fraud, At least this is the first time the president is getting it right. And this is the first time we are standing with the president. Everything must not be politics. They are actually joking with the lives of the masses. and putting them in danger, frustrating them. So I believe that the policy, the CBN policy stands. We stand with CBN. We support Nigeria because what they are doing right now, the politicians, they are buying Naira. They are trying to frustrate CBN. But the policy is actually whatever they say stands. That's what we are saying. And that is the objective of our gathering today. POS yesterday, I withdrew 30,000 to pay 6,000. It was like me sharing my money with the POSM people. It's frustrating, very, very frustrating. And we can't take it no longer. It is the politicians who are doing this. This cannot go on again. We are asking the masses to calm down. We are asking the people, Nigerians, the good Nigerian people, to please bear and hold on. It cannot last any longer. It will just last for a moment. Yeah. Any longer. It will just last for a moment. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Fatunke, you heard that.
Yes, I heard that.
And you saw the so many filling stations that at the queues.
Yes, I saw that.
In some of the filling stations as well, people were even asking, you know what, we're paying with card. And then you hear things like the POS is not working. So even for the ones that are selling, transfer, we don't accept transfer. And then the petrol attendant tells you, Auntie, if you transfer to me, you have to give me the charges. So it's 5,000. I want to buy 5,000 naira first, so you send 6,000 naira. It gets that bad.
It is not just bad.
And yet,
it is not just bad. It is contrived. And I will not be a leader. I will not be a supervisor. I've been given a project, and I will not think through. Okay, well, even if I thought through, I have been, like Kenny said, somebody has advised me, has told me a lie, and I sit down there, me and my family, we are getting all the funds, we are getting the fuel, we are not going to queue for fuel. But I look at the television, or somebody just, and I say, but wait a minute, everything is going on around me. But what about those people? They will now lie to me also that, oh, they are just playing, they are happy people, and all that.
That is if I get to watch the television.
Oh, yes. Then if you don't watch the television, that means you are not communicating. That means you don't have any rights to be a leader. That means you are not ready to listen. That means you just want to ensconce yourself, you, me, and I.
Mr. Fatunke,
that cannot be leadership.
Have you been to Aso Rock before?
I've been to Aso Rock before.
Are there televisions on the corridor?
There are CCTVs everywhere.
Mr.
Even before you get in there.
Television. I mean television, so they can watch different news from different parts of the world.
It is not only television. If somebody runs up to you, naked, around, or somebody comes to tell you somebody has run naked, and you say, all my life savings, I'm going to die in here. You ask yourself.
On social media.
It is either they are acting or they will not be acting. And don't forget, Nollywood and acting is a mirror of what really happens in society. And you sit down there as a leader. No, but look at the issue of the fuel.
You realize that a couple of people, a couple of political parties now, they've gone to the court to say that actually what the president is doing is right, or what the CBN governor is doing at this point in time, nothing wrong with it, and we should still stay on.
No, that young man just advised us that we should endure for it.
No, that's what I'm saying, that that we should still remain. The deadline for the 10th, which is 3 days to now, should still remain. That you realize that you begin to say, okay, should we say it's different strokes for different folks? Are they not part of this, all of this that is ongoing, or what is happening?
He's saying we're suffering, but that we should endure.
You will.
Kenny, if you have 5,000 new notes on you.
Oh.
Excuse me. If you have 5,000 new notes on you, either way you look at it, and I don't have, then the two of us cannot be looking at things.
From the same perspective.
You're right.
Mr. Vasuke,
So
thank you.
if you have
I want to
5,000
assume that
and
the
you
guy
now tell
has
me I
naira
should
notes in
continue
his
to have
pocket.
patience, you are right to say what you are saying.
Yeah.
Because
you are
you
not
can
from
manage.
my perspective.
Yes.
Leadership is about taking the whole lot and ensuring. And I told you about Harold Atwood. People will say, let's keep on persevering. Yes, we can continue to persevere. You have not eaten for the last 2, 3, 4 days. Everything that you have taken it to the bank. You are not able to get it. And you are saying you are surprised. Some people are going naked. Some people are trying to do whatever it is. A hungry man is an angry man. And a leader must know that, because you can't continue to taunt. We are not saying, I have never said that the policy is wrong, but I've just said the implementation is faulty. You can't do that.
Thank you.
You can't do that.
And
You
that's
can't
what
do
an
that.
average Nigerian is saying.
We
that
accept the policy
implementation
is
is
wrong.
wrong.
And so we come back to the table this morning, and despite the fact that they say the implementation is wrong, one of the papers this morning says that Nasima suggested to the CBN they should have produced 5,000 naira notes.
Nasima is not saying anything new. That's what is done elsewhere.
Elsewhere, yeah.
Is the reason
Even so far,
is the reason why I said
in other climes, let me not even use that word I wanted to use.
Is the reason
in
why
other
I
climes,
said-
you realize that even after the old note has gone out of circulation, and probably years later you realize that you have a particular old note in your
because that is the law.
you can still go to the bank.
No, even here, the CBN governor said that it's the law.
The people that we call I call them rulers. The people call rulers, have they thought? Do they even know some of these things that you are saying? Now I see Kenny in red, and I say I must also be in red. Do you know some of the reasons why she put on red? And even if I get a red, I can do it in such a way that it will now begin to look very funny. Elsewhere, the way it is done is that perhaps you take a particular note and change, give time, do communication, and do blah, 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 and
Not
stuff
a
like
lot.
that. Nasima is making absolute sense. Because Nasima has thought through that the logistics, ABC, underbank, the thing should be a bit much more gradual. But Mr. President, in his wisdom, just says that, look, I just want to catch this thief. I want to surprise them. And to what? And people have gone to Mr. President and they've gone to convince him and all that. I don't have a problem. But the thing now is, the people that you want to catch are the ones that are smiling to the banks, and then the hapless people are dying,
the ones that are
waiting
suffering for it.
go out there on riot. A good leader must anticipate scenarios. You must ask the what if question. What if I don't wake up tomorrow? What if you understand what I'm saying? What if this goes wrong? What if I am going to be deceived? Because people will always want to deceive. It's not necessarily a Nigerian thing, but there must be controls in place. You deceive me, you know you are out of the door. In fact, you yourself know that you are out of the door.
Even before being
But
told.
you deceive me, you come and show me that you have deceived me, and you continue to say that well, you are the kingmaker and all that kind. Something is
wrong somewhere.
is faulty there.
And
Pure
I want
and
us
simple.
I want us to talk politics a little bit. Yinka Kenny began this story this morning with the Supreme Court affirming Lawan. The Supreme Court is at it again.
Yes.
It's the dance that I like.
I wonder if you remember Justice Okuta retired, the erudite judge who made that fantastic statement. The courts, the ultimate courts, is not supreme because they cannot be infallible. They are not infallible because they can be supreme. You know, he played with words that we are like you. Whatever it is presented to us in accordance to
The written text.
the scale of justice that must be blind goes. However, I also remember that before him, late Kayode Shofola made another profound statement concerning rule of law and justice. That, well, it shouldn't be that man is made for the law. Law is made for man in a way that at the end of the day, when you put all together, you do a bit of a balance so that you do what? You now get what you call near fear and not near anarchy. It is not accepted that we should be discussing the Supreme Court judgment on account of the fact that I, as a person, and the way I'm brought up, I must respect authority. The authority, I respect the Supreme Court justices. They made their point that it was on technical ground, just like we had technical ground in Imo, just like we had technical ground in Akwa Ibom. Remember, just lately, you know, because I know, just we have technical grounds. For how long are we going to be having some of
Technical
these
grounds.
technical grounds? What is the incompetence that we have? Because I mean, if you say, I don't want to die, and you jump in front of a trailer, and they say, don't go in front of a trailer, now you say that's what you want to do, you will die.
Mr. Fatiga, is it
Now-
the lawyers now not doing due diligence or doing their work properly
Okay,
or
now,
presenting the
let's
cases
now
properly?
say, I like something that Kenny has said this morning, that we are all human beings.
Yeah,
You make mistakes,
Yeah.
Thomas.
definitely.
I make mistakes.
Yeah.
All of us make mistakes. However, even if we make some kind of mistake, and that is why some of us go to the Almighty Being, forgive us, Lord. You are the one that created the pencil. Give us an eraser. We can try and clean. We may suffer our fate, but give us an eraser. Don't cut us out. Don't take us out entirely. I know the rule of law now then makes a provision and say, okay, in the balance of justice, even though this is technically wrong based on what has been given to me,
Yes.
I know some jurists who will now then say, they know that you've done the wrong thing. They say, go and make some of these things a bit much more competent. Now,
Before you bring it to me.
maybe you don't have enough time. And I heard
that
Kenny.
be done
I
again?
also heard Kenny. I don't know why I'm making a lot of reference to Kenny earlier when she was trading the thing. And she was making a point that one of the things I would have expected is fear. So don't swing it to the other side. If you know the will of the people is said something, and on technical grounds some people are not coming, why then do you want to give it to the other side? Why don't you just cancel
the whole thing.
You know, they call it a Joro cancel. Why don't you just cancel? Some people can argue that it makes a lot of sense, and it takes a strong jurist to be able
To do that.
Now, the majority judgment voted on the technical. The two, you can't say that they are not. They are saying, hey, wait a minute, this has not expressed the will of the people. More so, if Lawan has himself openly agreed that he's no more going, he's done, one of the longest serving senators.
So just
and
let
all
him
that,
go.
Let it go. But then, you know, people will always want to let. The real winner here, I must say, even though you and our listeners may not believe me, the real winner is Machina. The real winner is Machina. If Machina can hold it, take this pain, there's going to be a tomorrow. That tomorrow will be such that perhaps the whole world will be carrying him like egg.
But Mr. Fatinke, let's look at
Justice
leadership.
denied
It's not it's justice delayed. It's not justice denied.
is denied at this time. Is delayed and denied, but could be fantastic justice at the end of the day. I have seen this happen so many times. I have seen Mandela go to prison. I've seen Awolowo go to prison. Their tomorrow became our future of reference. I still think Machina is the winner And I've just asked the Nigerians, let us just continue to keep calm. Let's continue to respect our justices. I am not saying they are infallible. I am not saying like every other person, whether it's INEC, whether it's police, whether it's university lecturers, whether it's our media, proprietors. Everybody has one way or the other. The Imo State as a reference point, according to what I hear, is such that we are yet so many deaths over. Are the justices looking at it and saying, this kind of thing might lead on to all of this, or we just close our eyes and just decide?
And say, this is technical. It's the law is the law.
We respect them. Hopefully, we all learn from it. Originating summons is what should have happened. That is one of the reasons why, Kenny, if you want to build a house, you don't just go and just take anybody. Go look for well-structured person. It may cost you a little bit more, but at the end of the day,
due diligence will
the house will not come crashing down on your head like we are seeing here now. Due diligence, competence, capacity, compassion.
Yeah.
And
must all come to play.
They all must come to play. They must all. If I were to be an APC, if I were to be a Lawan, somebody I think I know back in my day, I am not going to be a very happy. That's me, sir.
I'm actually going to.
I'm not going to be a very happy man because I know down the line, myself, my family, my children might be at the receiving end of stone throwing and what have you.
So, Mr. Fatuke, is it the possibility that Ahmed Lawan, having come out repeatedly several times to say he is not no longer interested, blah blah blah, and is it a possibility he can step down?
There's
and
no
maybe give the ticket.
There's no possibility. I told you, Kenny was asking that why is it like that, and I told you there's no sense of shame. If there is a sense of shame,
no, but let's assume that there is a sense. Let's assume that he truly is not interested. Let's assume
he has already made a statement to say this is the rule of law, democracy is at work, and all that.
Mr. Fatuke,
even though he didn't take.
Let's assume that he went home and his children and his wife, like you said, say, when we don't want to be stoned and all that. What would be your own recommendation?
If the wife and the children.
Let's assume that they say, oh, you know what, blah blah, all of that. Do you see him?
I like that.
Abacha
was spoken to. Don't kill these guys. Wale Soyinka, Achebe, and Jepepe Clark. No, this is not going to be good for us. So many people said it, and yet he said, "Tag my law. My word is law. I am in power." He went to kill them, and we know what happened. They say he who the gods are set to destroy, he will make them mad. He will not even allow them to
listen.
So your assumption, my assumption is that from history and from what I have seen, people who are manifestly not thinking of the Commonwealth will always continue to think of themselves. Why do you think some people have gone to take 50 million, 20 million of these new notes and they are spraying? They are spraying that parties. Yeah, they see. Are you saying that their wife? Okay, well, their friends are not telling them that some of these things that you are doing, oh boy, come on, leave me, I'm a big man, and all that kind of stuff.
Let's listen to the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, after yesterday.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Let me start by thanking Almighty Allah for His blessings, and of course what has happened today in the Supreme Court, the judgment on Yobe North particularly. It's a victory for all APC in Yobe and generally APC across the country. What happened was democracy at work, and the courts gave their various judgments, and of course the Supreme Court gave the final judgment. I want at this point to commend the Supreme Court and in fact the judiciary generally for making this kind of judgment to strengthen our democracy. Because it's not only for politicians to work and strengthen democracy, it's for all of us, and all the institutions have some roles to play. So I commend the Supreme Court and the judiciary in general. Let me take this opportunity to thank the All Progressives Congress, the APC, our party, for taking this matter to court, to the Supreme Court. Actually, I didn't, as a person, as an individual, go to the Supreme Court to seek for a redress. But my party did, and my people, the people of Yobe North and Yobe State generally, and many political associates and well-wishers and supporters across the country and beyond, who showed interest that there has to be an appeal at the Supreme Court on this matter. So today, this victory is for all of us involved. I am the symbol, but the victory is for our party, the APC, and for democracy. For you journalists, you have been very wonderful, and especially the Senate Press Corps. What can we do without you?
Nothing.
Where can we go without you? The Press Corps in the Senate has been one, let me say, segment of our complex that gives out for the last 4 years or 3.5 correct, authentic, and
Yes, Mr. Fatuke. The story has changed.
comes to the point I made, that politics is
I thought
who
he was
gets
no
what.
longer interested.
Sorry?
I thought he was no longer interested. I thought so. I thought from the previous. He said he didn't go to court anymore.
What happened? He didn't go to court.
Yeah, his party.
He didn't legitimately contest the election. The APC
contested for him.
decided
No, contested on his behalf.
they were going to contest for election. The election he contested that the whole world saw, including Kenny,
Was the presidential
myself
election,
was-
primary election.
okay, and he allegedly assured of backing to succeed President Muhammad Buhari. He lost there. Then he saw a small
Window of opportunity.
Machina, who has contested elections,
Won the election.
who INEC has accepted, and then
Abracadabra.
abracadabra came into it. How will you say to the common man now that justice is not for the highest bidder? How will you say to the common man now that
On a technicality,
on technicality,
as long as you can look for a technicality.
then forget about the process or the fair process? How do you say to the common man now? And then look at what Lawal said. He said it's victory for democracy. How can that be victory for democracy? He said it's victory and that everybody has won.
But isn't it victory for the rule of law anyway? Based on a technicality. Of course it was this judgment was delivered on a technicality in the law.
So why are we now going for
Not
elections?
compassion, not
Why are we going for elections? Let the court decide, and then let's say
Who gets what and who gets who?
Let's save ourselves all this. Okay,
so
court.
Mr. Fatuke brings me to another issue.
It
because
therefore means democracy is not working. Pure and simple. That's the point I'm making. Democracy in the way
This
that we
democracy
passion is not
the way we practice it, or the way it is
the
across
people
the
who
world.
who are bringing the democracy are not doing what is right, and it's making the whole thing look very funny. The template that we are basing this on is also faulty, and it has to be winner takes all. The big man, the one that has money, and if the one that has no money but has very good ideas has been imbued and is like a David who was not presented as one of the first 11 to Samuel to become king. If there was not a Samuel that said, but look, just say, with all what you have presented, there still must be somebody. I can't see myself. Oh, I remember there is one of
At the backside of the
go
desert.
bring him. If we don't have that kind of system in our body polity, we'll continue to go down and down and down the drain. Have you heard of what's his name? Akitola. When he said, no, I'm not talking of Akitola, the politician.
Okay.
You know, the one that we all know very well. And I know Kenny is looking at me. I know if she will know this song and say, Olowo baya ole, ore mi baya wo mi lo. You know? Olowo baya wo ole.
Now the rich collects the
rich
wife of
can-
the poor.
Yes, the Oba can just look at you and decide that your wife is the one that is going to
That
just.
interests him.
Is that fair before God? Is that morally justifiable? Come on. We can't continue to march on wrong and thinking that the Almighty Being is not seeing us. We all have a way that we are all going to pay for it. So, this one is a typical Oluwogbayawo Ole. The big man has now taken over. He might have seen himself winning the war here, but the battle for the soul of Nigeria
Is still raging. All right, let's take a commercial break. When we return, Mr. Vatike, there is still something we want to talk about. Lagos Airport was about to become sectioned, like many other properties. And the court has stopped that from happening. A good idea or a bad idea? We'll be back to talk about it.
Papa, mama, brother, sister, this Lagos must work for all of us. Everybody, Jafu.